Well, 200 Israeli ultra-nationalists will march through the old city in the Western Wall in occupied East Jerusalem. They demand an end to the control of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound by the Waqf authority. That's the Islamic endowment authority, which administers the Muslim holy site. Well, the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound is a constant point of contention in the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Israel's encroachments intensified in 1967, resulting in the illegal occupation of the West Bank and East Jerusalem, including the Old City and Al-Aqsa Mosque. Since 1967, Jordan and Israel agreed that the Waqf, or Islamic Trust, would have control over matters inside the compound, while Israel would control external security. Non-Muslims would be allowed onto the site during visiting hours, but not allowed to pray there. Rising temple movements have been challenging the Israeli government's ban on Jews entering the compound. Well, today, Israeli forces routinely allow groups of Jewish settlers to enter the Al-Aqsa compound under police and army protection. Israel restricts Palestinian entry into the compound through several methods, including a separation wall, and permits from Israeli authorities are hard to get. I'm now joined by Mustafa Abu Sway, Islamic scholar and member of the Islamic Waqf Council in occupied East Jerusalem. Good to have you with us. So, looking at what is transpiring, are you worried that the bigger picture is an attempt to end your authorities' administration of the Muslim mosque compound?
Of course, I'm worried, and in fact, everyone would be worried because we talk about the rise of these, fanatical Jewish movements. They have been on the fringe decades ago, and today they have gained momentum, and they have representatives in the Israeli Knesset, the Israeli Parliament, and in the cabinet and the Israeli ministries. So this does worry us, and of course it is condemned. It is provocative, and it has been condemned by the Jordanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The official spokesperson, Dr. Sufyan al-Qadha, warned against such a provocative march, which would go through the Muslim quarter of the old city, through Nablus, the Damascus Gate, as we call it, and then through most probably the Wad Street, and probably also there is a small alley that leads next to the Waqf administration, and then they will proceed to the but they would stop from entering. This march has been given the green light by the Israeli police, but it means that this is the office of the Israeli Prime Minister. We know very well that anything pertains to Al-Aqsa Mosque, Al-Haram Al-Sharif, would have to get the direct okay from Prime Minister Netanyahu himself. Of course, the gravity of the situation made people like Yair Lapid, the leader of the Israeli opposition, to condemn also the same march. And he said that during his days, he would not have had given such a group of fanatics the green light. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, Al-Haram Al-Sharif, in all of the 144 dunams, 36 acres plus, is an Islamic holy site, and it is exclusively the right of the Waqf department to administer this exclusive right, exclusive legal and historical right, as this is the historical status quo.
And just to put this in context, because the narrative sometimes put out by some of these far-right Israeli groups is that they want freedom of worship, equality of worship, the ability to worship in this site. However, the backdrop, explain to us the backdrop of this, because we know that some of these far-right Israeli Jewish groups promote the idea of the complete destruction of the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Some of them call for the Al-Aqsa Mosque to be disassembled and reassembled in Mecca and other places, right? So this is for not just a question of who's allowed to pray where. This is a struggle for sovereignty and control, right?
This is true. I mean, this particular march, they have raised the stakes, and they are demanding the total removal of the Waqf administration, and they want to implement total Israeli sovereignty. Let's not forget that this is part, as you said in your introduction, that this is part of East Jerusalem, occupied East Jerusalem, and Israel, as the occupying power, has the responsibility to maintain the historical status quo until basically the end of the occupation. Yes, these groups demand taking over the Al-Aqsa Mosque. Those who are kind enough, they would like to relocate the Dome of the Rock, for example, and there are those politicians even who speak directly about demolishing the Dome of the Rock, and lately even Amit Halevi, a member of the Knesset, suggested that he would make it a law to divide Al-Aqsa Mosque, whereby the Jews would take about 2/3, including the Dome of the Rock and the northern area, and he would leave the Qibli Mosque, the southernmost building, in the hands of the Muslims. Yes, it's a
How disturbing is it now
escalation.
when we have, I mean, these sorts of calls and ideas it's very difficult to dismiss them as a fringe opinion anymore when you see that members of the cabinet, like the National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, taking part in marches to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound earlier this year, in July 2023, and on the record are saying statements like, "This place is important to us, we have to return to it and prove our sovereignty."
This place has been a mosque for 1,500 years, and there is nothing that could change this. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, Al-Haram al-Sharif, and all its courtyards, buildings, subterranean halls, it is airspace even, all of this belongs to the Muslims. Sovereignty, if you talk about political sovereignty, it should be Palestinian. The custodianship, His Majesty King Abdullah II is the custodian of the Christian and Muslim holy places. This is accepted by the American administration. Secretary Blinken used, the same phrase to describe the Jordanian custodianship. It's a century of care, Jordanian care of the Haram al-Sharif. And yes, it does pose a risk, it does pose a challenge. But we know very well that whether it's the UNESCO, whether it's the international community, or locally, the Waqf tries its best to protect the premises of Al-Aqsa Mosque. These movements, whether it's Ben-Gvir, this is really his time, but it's basically, we know very well, and hopefully that he will not be in the next cabinet. Not that this is the maximum hopes for us. It's occupied land, and it should be free, not freedom of movement, not freedom of worship for them, freedom of movement for us, and freedom of worship for us. Since October 7, the Israeli authorities limited the number, and in fact, of Muslims who could basically go to Al-Aqsa Mosque.
And more
very few
restrictions being
make it.
Right, are able to make it through. We'll have to leave it there. Mustafa Sway, thank you so much.
Thank you.